What's up everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Justin Colby, and on this video we're going to be talking about how to better manage your money and start growing your net worth. Check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Justin Colby, and on this channel we talk all things business, real estate, and entrepreneurship. So I would love if you smash the like button. If you have any interest at all about real estate, business, or entrepreneurship, I'd love for you to be able to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel, because simply the YouTube gods favor it. In fact, you might want to turn on the notification bell, because then you'll be notified when I drop all 3 videos a week. By the way, if you're interested in real estate investing, I also drop 3 videos a week right here on YouTube, all about real estate investing. And it is called the Science Flipping Podcast. So if you're interested in that, every week I'm dropping 6 videos. You must subscribe because you're crazy not to. All right, so let's just talk about what I think is probably one of the, listen, I'm gonna call it number 1. I think it's the most important, and it's to manage your expenses, right? You need to cut out the excess spending. Now, do you need to have some big profit and loss statement? No. You can do this on an Excel spreadsheet. Quite literally, you just need to figure out how much do you make and how much are you spending and where. I did this during COVID because quite literally I freaked out when COVID hit because I'm in real estate. I'm heavily in real estate and I thought the market was gonna crash. So for me, I said, oh my God, what am I making? What am I spending? And what is the least amount I need to make to cover these expenses? So it was a great exercise for me to do back when COVID hit back in 2020, because I wanted to make sure I could afford to live and remain living the lifestyle I am currently living. Now, I live a pretty good lifestyle. Not a lot of people necessarily need to live the lifestyle I live, but nonetheless, the point remains the same, which would be make sure you can afford your life. What I hate seeing is people that put their Starbucks coffee that's $7 on a credit card. To me, that is ludicrous. You don't need to spend $7 on Starbucks when you can make your own coffee at home, and then on top of which, you're actually putting it on a credit card that is creating debt that if you don't make more money, which is another pillar here, then you're never gonna be able to pay off the credit card. And it becomes this vicious cycle, and it's actually why I'm shooting this video. It's because people nowadays, societies nowadays, gotten caught up in this spending on credit cards without increasing their ability to make more money so that they can pay off their credit cards, and they get in trouble. So point number 1 is understand your expenses and how much you're making and cut out the excess. Start managing your money correctly. Now, my little caveat here for all of you is if you do really well and you make really good money, then spend it the way you want. Just make sure you are actually measuring it or tracking it, if you will, to make sure that you have point number 2, which is gonna be to have an emergency fund. Point number 2 is really kind of 1 and 1A. You need to be able to save money instead of spending excessively and putting things on credit cards. The reason being, like I told you, I went through this exercise back when COVID hit because I had a minor freak out about what my business was gonna do. So I made sure I had at minimum 6 months worth of spending in my bank account. Now, for those of you, you could have 3 to 6 months. I've heard people have all the way up to a year worth of their living expenses, which I love. I mean, the more, the better, really. But I had a very minimum of 6 months in my account that I knew I was gonna pay all of my bills just as I would if nothing would have happened to my income. So this point number 2, or 1A, if you will, is to make sure you start that. The best way to do that is actually just start. Doesn't need to be a lot. Start with $50 a week. Start with $500 a month. Whatever you can afford, start putting it away in a savings account and just name it emergency fund on the savings account. An even better way to do that would be to put it in a separate bank. Like if you use Wells Fargo, go put it in Bank of America or whatever. I know some people don't like these big banks, fine. go put it in those banks so it's not easily accessible. You would literally have to, quite frankly, walk into the bank to take the money out versus just having a debit card that you can put in over and over again and just spend the money. So I'd actually tell you, go get another bank account and put it in there. And like I said, once you understand the expenses and what your costs are, you can understand how much you can save. Just start somewhere and make sure you can live for a minimum, in my opinion, 6 months. But if you want to save up to a year's worth of living expenses, so be it. I think it's a better move. All right, since I already brought up people spending money on credit cards they can't afford, let's make this number 3. Stop using credit cards. In fact, if you have credit cards, immediately start paying them down. Now you might ask yourself, really what comes first? Should I be paying down my credit cards or having an emergency fund in case something drastic happens? And here's what I would tell you. I actually would rather you pay down your credit cards, because most of you, if you really look at your credit cards, you're paying 14, 15, 19, 22% on these credit cards. If you have several thousands of dollars that every month you leave on the credit card, then your minimum payment essentially just is going to paying down that month worth of interest. You're never gonna catch up. So my philosophy about this is part of your emergency fund can be the fact that you have 2, 3, 4, 5 credit cards and you have a lot of availability to live off those credit cards if it became crunch time. So making sure you pay down these really high interest credit cards is really, really important, to the point of I would likely fast forward that in front of the importance of having an emergency fund if you have to choose. Now, if you can do both because you went back to point number 1, audited what you were spending money on and cut the nonsense out and stopped spending $7 a day or even twice a day at Starbucks, and started taking that $7 and putting $7 in an emergency fund and $7 a day towards your credit card and interest, you would pay down this high interest rate credit cards. So there's 2 ways to do the credit card pay down. One is Dave Ramsey's approach. Almost everyone in the world knows who this guy is, which is brilliant for him. And honestly, this is probably one of the only things that I agree with when it comes to Dave Ramsey, which is he calls it the snowball effect, right? So the snowball pay down. So you essentially pay down the smallest balance, right? First, once you pay that off, then you add what you were paying there, let's just say it's $200 a month, to the next smallest balance. So you take $200 plus whatever you were paying on the next smallest balance, and you add that up and pay that off. Now you have 2 different credit cards that you've paid off. One was $200, the other was $200. Now you have $400. You bring that money to the 3rd credit card, you get my point. That's the Dave Ramsey's snowball effect. Then there's an avalanche pay down, which is really you're taking the credit card that has the highest interest rates and paying that one down first, and then going to the next highest and the next highest and the next highest. And the reality is both of them work very, very effectively, and pick one, whatever one you think is best. Some people who actually math it all out say that if you start with the highest interest rate credit card first, it'll actually leave more in your pocket when you're all done. I have not fully transparently mapped out if I paid off 7 credit cards, one with the snowball, one with the avalanche. I didn't do all that for you guys. I'm sorry. But if you just choose one and you stick to it, you're actually gonna be able to save a lot more money, which guess what? You can put towards your emergency fund. So this is the next step. You really need to focus on paying off these high interest credit cards. So for those of you maybe were wise enough not to have credit cards, then you need to make sure you have a minimum of 6 months in that emergency fund as a priority. Now guys, if you're liking this so far, if you're getting some ideas, smash that like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so here's one of my favorite points will be go make more money. This is how you manage your money better and actually build wealth, is create side hustles, create opportunities in your life to help you make more money. It doesn't mean that side hustle or that opportunity needs to make you $250,000 a year. It means you need to go create enough money to either fund your emergency fund or pay off those credit cards. So I love, like Gary V excited about people starting side hustles. Whether you are Gary V and you go do the side hustle of the garage sales, or you're like my buddy Ryan who flips couches, I don't care. Find something, flip shoes. I mean, there's so many side hustles. It's outrageous. Drive Uber, for God's sakes. The reality is, if you can do that, you fund your emergency account faster, you get rid of your credit cards, and here's the last point, and one of the most exciting and best points I can make to you. Then you invest back into yourself. Give yourself the opportunity to really flourish financially. Now, I would say you could start with books or audiobooks. I get that. But maybe it's the side hustle becomes more of a passion. You really want to take that off. I would tell you to go hire and invest in a coach, a mentor, someone who has done it before you, someone who has done it longer than you, someone who has already been there and done that and has made the mistakes so you don't have to. Then you can join masterminds and do all these incredible things, which goes back to the other point of it's just going to make you more money. So if you make more money, then you get to start building wealth. And that's really what I'm trying to teach you guys here. If you do these several points, then you're going to have enough money and ability to go build wealth through whether it's real estate, hopefully real estate, cryptocurrency, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc. That's how the real rich do this. That's what I want to impress upon you in this video. And by the way, it's simple. Rewatch this video because really everything I told you is just straightforward. There was no like real super scientific, this is how the rich are the richest of all times. This is just the straightforward stuff. And lastly, guys, through all this transition, if you're really trying to manage your money better, live frugally. Ultimately, go back to point number one. You don't need a $7 coffee. You need to make coffee at home. You don't need to go to the movies now that the movie theaters are open. Stay home and watch Netflix. You don't need to go to the bar to have a couple cocktails with friends. Go buy a 6-pack of beer and stay at home. That's living frugally. I'm not telling you to be boring and be in a corner under a rock. I'm just saying, go back to point number one, cut the nonsense expenses and the remaining points follow suit. Hopefully you guys like this. Again, if you have any interest in real estate, go to thescienceofflipping.com, fill out a quick form. I'll see if I could be a great coach to you. Remember the last point, invest in yourself. For real estate, investing, flipping, wholesaling, buying and holding, wholesaling to wealth, if you want that, I'm your guy. Go to thescienceofflipping.com, fill out a quick form. My advisors will get with you to see if I will be the right fit. Besides that, guys, make sure you like this video, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next YouTube video. Peace.